So, since we have so many devotees, I think we can start the class with the prayers. So, Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 1, text 19 to 22 today. So if any one of you have a book and would like to read, you can tell me. Um,
I can read, Mataji.
yes, Mataji, you can read 19.
Text
We can read.
19.
You can read 20 also, Mataji.
Okay. प्रणयामेन संयम्या मनोवर्ष सतं मुनि अतिस्ताद् एकपादेन निर्द्वन्द्वो अनिल भोजना. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. There, the great sage concentrated his mind by yogic breathing exercises, and thereby controlling all attachment. He remained standing on one leg only, eating nothing but air, and stood there on one leg for 100 years. 20. Saranam tam prapadyeham ya eva jagad ishvara prajam atma samam mayam prayachatva iti chintayan. He was thinking, may the Lord of the universe, of whom I have taken shelter, kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like him. It appears that the great sage Atri Muni had no specific idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, he must have been conversant with the Vedic information, that is, that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead who is the creator of the universe, from whom everything emanated, who maintains this created manifestation, and in whom the entire manifestation is conserved after dissolution. Yatovam imani bhutani. Taittiriya Upanishad. The Vedic mantras give us information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Atri Muni concentrated his mind upon that Supreme Personality of Godhead, even without knowing his name, just to beg from him a child exactly on his level. This kind of devotional service, in which knowledge of God's name is lacking, is also described in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that the four kinds of men with backgrounds of pious activities come to him asking for what they need. Atri Muni wanted a son exactly like the Lord, and therefore he is not supposed to have been a pure devotee, because he had the desire to be fulfilled, and that desire was material. Although he wanted a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this desire was material because he did not want the personality of Godhead himself, but only a child exactly like him. If he had desired the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his child, he would have been completely free of material desires because he would have wanted the Supreme Absolute Truth. But because he wanted a similar child, His desire was material. Thus, Atri Muni cannot be counted among the pure devotees.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to read the next verse? We have two more verses, so 21 and 22.
I can read, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Text 21. Tapyam tribhuvanam pranayamaithasasnina nirkatena munirmudna samikshya prabhavastrayah. While Atrimuni was engaged in these severe austerities, a blazing fire came out of his head. By virtue of his breathing exercise, and that fire was seen by the three principal deities of the three worlds. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the fire of pranayama is mental satisfaction. That fire was perceived by the super soul Vishnu, and thereby Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva also perceived it. Atri Muni, by his breathing exercise, concentrated on the super soul, or the Lord of the universe. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord of the universe is Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. And by the direction of Vasudeva, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva work. Therefore, on the direction of Vasudeva, both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva perceived the severe penance adopted by Trimuni, and thus they were pleased to come down, as stated in the next verse.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, I will read the last verse. This is text 22. Apsaro muni kandharva siddha vidyadharo ragai vita yamana yes tata shrama padam yayu. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of sorry, got distracted. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus, they entered the ashram of the great sage, who had become famous by his austerities. Purport. It is advised in the Vedic literatures that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the universe and the Master of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. He is known as the Super Soul, and when one worships the Super Soul, all other deities, such as Brahma and Shiva, appear with Lord Vishnu because they are directed by the Super Soul. Okay, so this was for these were the verses that we were supposed to read for today. So today's verses are actually the continuation from yesterday's verse. So yesterday we heard about Atri and Anasuya, and then we also heard that when Brahma had ordered Atri Muni to get progeny, Atri Muni had actually started severe austerities in the mountain known as Vriksha. And then there was more description of the mountain, that there was a river called Nirvindhya that was flowing, lots of Ashoka trees So it was a very beautiful place, and the description was given yesterday. So today we hear more about his austerities, that Atri Muni, he had concentrated his mind on the breathing, on his breathing exercise, and then controlling all the attachment. He was standing actually on one leg. He was not eating anything, and he was performing such austerities for 100 years. So, um, reading this verse actually reminded me about the austerities that we had read in the previous canto of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Like before they had Kapiladev, even they had performed actually many years of penance. So much of penance and austerity that Devahuti had actually become so thin and weak. So, and she, because she was also a chaste wife, she was actually serving her husband very nicely in and also assisting him in the various austerities that he was performing. So actually, if we see, um, thankfully in Kali Yuga, we don't have to perform austerities like this for 100 years. We can actually have um, uh, children. But like Prabhupada has actually given us a few, like you can say like rules, but more so that they are practices that can actually help us more to remember Krishna before we can actually conceive a child. Because what they do is that when we actually remember Krishna in any activity that we do, then the activity not just becomes devotional, but actually we receive a lot of Krishna's mercy. So here we see that Atri Muni, Prabhupada is actually saying that he did not even know like who was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he was just saying that, "Oh Lord, be pleased. Whoever I'm taking shelter of, please be kindly be pleased with my austerities." And this is similar to the prayers of Gajendra, because Gajendra, the elephant, when he was caught by the crocodile, even he couldn't also reach out to the Lord with his name. He was only praising the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then offering very beautiful prayers to him. And by those prayers, actually, we understand that he's actually referring to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here, similarly, Atri Muni, he did not know who the Supreme Personality was. And therefore, Prabhupada actually says that um, he was only conversant with the Vedas. And therefore, he knew that actually there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he did not know who he was. So he was actually, for those 100 years, he was just reaching out to him and then saying, kindly be pleased with my practices. Then Prabhupada actually writes and says that Atri Muni cannot fall in the category of being a pure devotee, because actually a pure devotee, he's always desiring service for Krishna, but he's not actually desiring for anything else. Like if we hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayers, Shikshashtaka prayers, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I do not need any fame, I do not need any money, I don't need any woman, I don't need followers, I don't need anything. All I need is Janmani, means for birth after birth. I only want your devotional service. So such is the desire of a pure devotee, because a pure devotee's thoughts are absorbed in how can I serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead? How can I serve Krishna and his devotees? So here we see that Atri Muni was actually approaching the Lord with a desire. And his desire was to actually get a child who was exactly like him, means exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Prabhupada is actually making the reference from Bhagavad Gita. That's the verse from chapter 7, text 16, which says that actually 4 different kinds of pious men approach the Lord. And those 4 categories are, there are the distressed, the people who are in some kind of distress, means they want something, or the desirer of wealth, the people who have who are in poverty. We all know that actually one goes through a lot of pain when they don't have wealth, because the nature of this Kali Yuga is such that everything is related to wealth. And without wealth, one is very miserable. And then the third category is the one who is inquisitive, who wants to know more, wants to understand the scriptures. And then there is also the last person who are considered wise. They are actually searching to understand the absolute truth. And here, if we see, like Atri Muni, he was actually performing his austerities with a desire. He wanted a child. So Prabhupada is actually sharing that let's read from the purport. He says, although he wanted a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his desire was material, because he did not want the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, but only a child exactly like him. So this is also another very important point, because his attention was not directly on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was actually seeking some kind of a material benefit from him. He wanted that, oh, let me have a child who is exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when we see actually these pure devotees of Vrindavan, then we notice that their desire is directly related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They wanted Krishna to be their son, the elderly gopis. So there is this beautiful Leela where for 1 year, when the cowherd boys were kidnapped by Indra, then like Krishna, actually he expanded himself into so many cowherd boys, and he stayed with all the gopis, those elderly gopis, because so that they can actually feel his love personally. He can feel they can actually fulfill their desire of having Krishna as their child. So such is the desire of a pure devotee, that they're constantly thinking about Krishna, they're constantly thinking how beautiful Krishna is, and they're constantly thinking like, how can we assist Krishna, how can we serve Krishna in his beautiful pastimes. So they're always absorbed in those thoughts. Actually, I was remembering, because this is the Damodar month. This is also a very beautiful month, which we celebrate for 1 full month. We sing this Damodar Ashtakam. And then if we read the translation of the song, then we actually we can feel, we can understand how Mother Yashoda, she is like, she's so absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. She is making butter for Krishna, she's feeding Krishna, she's singing songs of Krishna, she's like the whole time, like her absorption is like how to serve Krishna nicely, like how better can we render service to him. So actually, even in our devotional service, this is a very, very important principle for us to grow. If we really want to uh, like see for ourselves if we are progressing or not in Krishna consciousness, then this is a very good measure, because what it does is that from time to time, if we look for ourselves and then see like how much am I being absorbed in thoughts of Krishna when I'm doing any kind of service, then we can actually measure Krishna consciousness. We can actually understand, am I progressing or am I not progressing? Because when we become absorbed in Krishna, then our material thoughts fade away. Material thoughts is all the thoughts which are not related to Krishna. Let's say, somebody is just thinking that, okay, I'm going to look for this verse on YouTube, or I'm looking at this verse on Google, and then slowly, it is very easy to get distracted and drifted when it comes to social media, or when it comes to internet, and then browse through things. So if we catch ourselves doing that, okay, I just started for this, and then eventually 20 minutes later we are seeing for ourselves that, oh, somewhere we find ourselves looking at some video or looking at something, then we know that like most of our time we are not spending remembering Krishna, reading about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, but rather we are actually doing something else. Then we can definitely check ourselves and then better ourselves in keeping a track that, okay, I will do more devotional activities of reading Bhagavatam and reading Krishna book or whatever that is, especially on auspicious days and auspicious months like this, because the benefit that we get from doing such a thing is enormous. Like, we cannot even imagine the benefits that we receive when it comes to performing devotional service on these auspicious days and months. So having said that, then the last two verses actually speak about how in the by thinking, actually there was a fire that comes from the head of Atri Muni, and then everybody perceives that fire. So Prabhupada again says, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord of the universe is Vasudeva, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, and by the direction of Vyasudeva, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva work. So this is again a principle that not many people actually understand, especially people with an Indian background, because in India it's a very common practice that people actually go to so many different demigods to please them, because actually demigods, all the different demigods have different duties to perform. And like, somebody is in charge of wealth, somebody is in charge of progeny, somebody is in charge of beauty, somebody is in charge of like, there are so many, like we have 33,000. And if we see practically, it is impossible to actually please all of them. But if we read scriptures, and if we understand that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that Vasudeva, by pleasing him, everybody else is pleased, then actually we can render proper service. Because what happens is that the principle that Krishna is the supreme, and from Krishna there are so many different expansions. Yesterday we were reading about Amsa, Vibhinamsa, and from so many different expansions. Then there is Lord Brahma, and then the demigods, and then there are like all of these. So if we know the source, then it is actually easy to understand that rendering devotional service to the source, then everybody else is satisfied. So we commonly hear this analogy that Prabhupada always says that if we water the root, then all the other parts of the plant are automatically served or automatically watered. So even here, we are hearing again and again this principle that so here it says, therefore, on the direction of Vasudeva, both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva perceived the severe penance adopted by Atri Muni, and thus they were pleased to come down as stated in the next verse. So we see that by the direction of Vasudeva, Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu also come to the hermitage of Atri. Now, when Krishna comes, Krishna doesn't come alone. Krishna always brings his like an entourage of devotees. He chooses who to come with, and then when Krishna also performs his pastimes, then all the devotees or all the demigods, they are very thrilled. They want to see how Krishna is performing his pastime, because if we see even in this age, when somebody, like, even our president or he's talking, then we all are glued to the TVs to see what is he speaking, what is he doing, how is he doing, how is he sitting, how is he standing. So because even in Bhagavad Gita, there is this verse that says that actually the leaders, when they set example, the common people actually follow that example. And for us, we know that the example we need to follow is that of Krishna and his devotees. So actually, all of these denizens of heavenly planets and the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and Nagat, all of them, they wanted to see the pastimes of Krishna, and therefore they all also approached the hermitage of Atri. So towards the end, it is said that so again, Prabhupada is emphasizing that point that that Krishna is the Lord of the universe. He's the master of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And he also says that when one worships the super soul, all other deities such as Lord Brahma and Shiva appear with Lord Krishna because they are directed by the super soul. So again, we hear that actually Krishna is the supreme, and Krishna is directing all the other demigods in their services. Actually, even before the creation of this material world, Lord Brahma, he's also meditating on Krishna. So he has a mantra, and he also performs austerities. So in one of the questions that Narada poses Lord Brahma in the second canto that we read, Narada asks Lord Brahma that people think that you are the supreme, but you are also performing austerities on somebody. Now I would like to know that who is that somebody that you performing austerity towards. And he also wants to know if Brahma is the supreme, and he is the one who is creating the entire cosmic manifestation. And Brahma, he actually tells Narada that I am meditating on this Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer of all of these universes and planets. So from the very mouth of Lord Brahma, who is actually heading our sampradaya, we hear this truth that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even in the Brahma Samhita prayers, like there are so many references that we can go to, and all those references actually lead us to this understanding, including Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is our, as a devotee, we need to approach him, um, and we need to um, take guidance on how we can render service to him and absorb ourselves in thoughts of him. Actually, today is also very special in the sense that today is the disappearance of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, and through his very exemplary um, actions, we can actually see, no matter how one is situated in, whatever situation one may be in, one's thoughts are always in Krishna. So actually, wanted to share a pastime. When the Vrindavan temple was being constructed, there was actually a lot of noise that was coming from the construction workers, and Prabhupada did not want them to stop the construction even at night. So the construction would go on all day, all night. Like whenever the Srimad Bhagavatam class is going on, or whenever the Kirtan is going on, the construction would continuously keep going on with the loud sound and the noises that we usually hear on construction sites. So the devotees came to Prabhupada, and then they asked him that, Prabhupada, should we ask them to stop the construction? And then Prabhupada said, no, they don't need to stop. That's also Kirtan. So Prabhupada actually saw everything in relation to Krishna. And that is the sign of a pure devotee, that they can actually see everything, even the things which we consider are not material, not spiritual. He would see everything in relation to Krishna. And then there was another pastime when a devotee was actually massaging Prabhupada's back, and then the devotee writes that actually they could hear the Maha Mantra coming from Srila Prabhupada. So we have actually such beautiful examples in our Krishna consciousness movement, that we don't have to speculate, or we don't have to get lost, how do we perform a devotional service, or how do we absorb ourselves in thoughts of Krishna, because reading their examples and following them, actually our path is much easier, because we don't really need to put in a lot of effort. We need to follow them. That is our perfection. When we follow, even though our following might be imperfect, or we may not be able to achieve what our predecessor acharyas have achieved, still Krishna will be pleased. Just the very attempt of following their footsteps, Krishna is extremely pleased, because that actually changes our mode of um, lording it over to a mode of humility. As soon as we want to follow our acharyas, that very um, desire of following them brings humility in us, and brings gratitude in our hearts, that, oh, we have received so much, so this is the time that we need to also serve and give to others what we have received. And that's what Prabhupada always wanted. He wanted us to go and preach to people, reach out to people in whatever little ways we can, whether it is through books, whether it's through prasadam, whether it's through words, whether it's through anything. But reaching out to others and giving them the word of Krishna will please Srila Prabhupada most. And by pleasing Prabhupada, we know that Krishna is residing in his heart. We are actually pleasing Krishna himself. So I was thinking that today is a very auspicious day, and it is a very nice meditation for us to actually remember what Srila Prabhupada has given us, and to be able to make our little tiny attempts, our open our heart and receive what we have been given, and then similarly give to other people who are actually very misfortunate in this age of Kali, who are suffering so much. Mm, Giving the word of Krishna actually brings so much of auspiciousness in their lives. So I was thinking that this will be also that it is December is coming soon, and we have December marathon. We have so many other programs. So we all can actually participate in our little ways, even if we didn't participate in the temple programs, but still with our little capacity, whatever we can, to reach out to people and share proper words. That will be a very big service to Prabhupada. He'll be very pleased if we made such attempts. So I will stop here, and then I will see as devotees would like to share their realizations, more stories about Prabhupada, or like to correct me for what I have said. Please unmute yourself and go ahead. Thank you all for listening to me.
Hare Krishna, Primarasa, thank you very much for this very, very nice class. And actually, it is Srila Prabhupada's expertise, to differentiate between what one can perceive as uh, like pure devotional service versus a material desire. Actually, the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's purports and his books is that he very, very clearly differentiates between what is devotional service and what is not devotional service. So, even in the case of Atri Muni wanting a son, exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada still makes that distinction that he cannot be counted among pure devotees. I was surprised when I read that. Um, and but it is Prabhupada's expertise. He clearly gave us like what is our goal and what we should strive for in the human form of life. And I very much appreciated like what you said that if it was not for Prabhupada, where would each one of us be today? It would be like, at least for myself, I know that it would be the same routine things that people generally do, and we would have blindly followed what they have done. Okay, study for exams and then, get degrees and then get married and then have children and then again do the same thing with children. So that will become the end of life. And usually just by doing such activities, the consciousness of the human being does not transform. It transforms to a certain extent, but it cannot transform to the extent that Srila Prabhupada has um, made it available for all of us by his sacrifices. So to know Krishna and to be able to chant Krishna's holy name every day and to serve Krishna's deity form, um, or to do any service like reading Srimad Bhagavatam, these are all gifts from Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada will be very pleased, as you said, if we can share our good fortune with others. We are not at the level of pure devotion, but even when we strive for sharing this knowledge with others, even though we are impure ourselves, that will bring us to the platform of purity by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you again for a very, very beautiful class.
Thank you for sharing these points. Actually, it is very true what you said is that, like, Prabhupada, actually, we are all very fortunate to have such a, like, Acharya like Prabhupada, like, who, like, so clearly again and again and again, he's, like you said, he's telling us what devotional service is, so that it is very clear for us, like, devotional service should be unmotivated. So, um, and like Rupa Goswami says, it needs to be unmotivated and uninterrupted. So we've always got the same message from Prabhupada also, that always remember Krishna and never forget him. And that is actually our protection. That is protection of our consciousness. That is protection of in a place where actually we don't feel fear. And I was actually thinking that even if somebody is feeling fearful, then it is very hard for them to actually perform any kind of service. So it is very important that we feel sheltered and protected, because in that space only the mind is very peaceful and we can actually render proper service. So, and that can all only be achieved when we actually feel, we take shelter of the Lord and we follow, like how Prabhupada showed us by his example. Actually, I remember the first time I came to Chicago, um, I was somewhere in downtown. I mean, not like, yeah, it was for, I had gone for something. I had to go to the civic building or something. So I went alone at that time. And I had to get down from the train station and then walk. But because I was so new to downtown, I didn't know which way to walk, whether if I walk this way then I get the street, or whether I go to this way or that way, like I did not know. And at that time also, that I was so new, that I did not know that there is this app of Google, where you can put the address, and then it will also show you how to walk, in which direction to walk, how many steps to take, and things like that. Because in India nobody follows Google. They are all their own directions and things like that, or take a left from here, two rights from here, whatever. So that's how I learned. So when I came here, I did not really know much. So I was asking people just like I would ask in India. So after a few steps, then I would ask somebody, oh, I have to go this way. Which way do I go? This way or this way or this way? And while I was walking the whole time, I remember that I was thinking of Prabhupada the whole time, because it just helped me understand that, oh, for only for 10 or 15 minutes that I was walking, I felt so lost in those big buildings and so many people not understanding anything. And also because I was new, I did not really understand the English accent that much. I was just thinking that, how did Prabhupada manage in this whole, like, for me it was just a few minutes. For him it was like so many months and years before actually so many disciples started coming, and then he was all alone. Like, how did he, how was he staying? And actually I feel that when we are put in situations like that, we can actually appreciate more of the sacrifices and whatever acharyas have made when we go through situations of life. um, so I don't know why I remembered that today, but I was just remembering that incidents in life like this, they actually bring us one step closer to Krishna. Actually, it was very fearful. I felt like I don't even know if I can reach my destination and then walk back again. It was kind of, although it was not like a big thing, but still it felt to me at that moment that I was completely lost. So anyway, anyone else who would like to share uh, from their realizations or share anything about Prabhupada? Or
I just had a question, Mataji. That Hare Krishna.
yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like what I have heard from Prabhu lectures or whatever I read, that when someone used his disciples used to come and say that Prabhupada, I want a child, he used to tell them to chant 50 rounds or something first and then come to him. And then that person used to say that, oh, my desire for having a child has gone. So, is the desire for having a child bad? Or like you said, we before conceiving a child, if we pray to Krishna and then we say that I want to like have a child who will also be Krishna conscious, who will serve you, if we pray like that and then we have a child, so is that okay? Or having a child is bad? Is it going to entangle us materially even more?
No,
Because like
Mataji, yeah, actually, you can finish what you're asking.
no, like every relationship ultimately is like Harsha Shoka. So it's going to bring you pain, it's going to bring you happiness, but ultimately it's again going to entangle you. So maybe that is why Prabhupada must have told them that go and chant 50 rounds first. I don't know why that was done. So I was just trying to understand.
Mm. I don't also know much details, Mataji, but I know that because Prabhupada had requested his disciples to do like that. Even now in Krishna consciousness, devotees are encouraged to chant 50 rounds before they conceive. And so my understanding is that like when we absorb the day, actually 50 rounds takes quite a while to chant, and then when we are actually chanting, remembering Krishna, then what happens is that the activity we perform is like the thoughts are more as a service and not like so much as an enjoyment, because it is like, it's social media, I guess. Sex is also something that is like very entangling and distractive. So one can because like the thoughts during the conception are what kind of the soul that we are inviting into the womb of the mother. So if we are performing as a service, like you said, if we are thinking that we should have a child who is going to be a good servant of Krishna, and who can be a good devotee, and then there is nothing wrong to have children. But then if we are doing it just as an enjoyment, that the wife and the husband just come together and they're just having children, like Prabhupada says, like cats and dogs, then that's when the society is getting polluted, and that is a disservice. And I don't know specifically. I feel that it is from person to person. So each person is different. Each like incident is different. So I do not know the exact details of like how the desire is gone. I don't know much detail about that. But in general, like, it is not wrong to have Krishna conscious children. I mean, it's not wrong to desire for a Krishna conscious child, and say like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. It was clear. Thank you.
And somebody else, I know Samya, Mataji, my sister, we're all there. If they like to comment on your question, also.
I don't know. I am also similar answer. Have also similar answer, Madhu. Like Prabhupada suggested, 50 rounds chanting. That is whatever acharyas said we follow. Previously said we follow the acharyas, whatever gave the instructions, and then similar way uh, whoever initiated, and then they take that instructions and then chant that 50 rounds before the conception.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
I was thinking before, like not about this question, but previously when you both were speaking about Prabhupada, and then I thought Prabhupada that effort and mercy, the point. Um, so Prabhupada did so much effort, like coming here. Before that, also he was so much um, failures and again trying failures and trying, and then so much effort he did. And then on the boat also he had the 2 heart attacks. And I read recently Prabhupada uh, one book. In that book also specified Prabhupada, he's like um, going through so many health issues, even in the starting of the years, like 1970s. Uh, in after New York, once they went to Los Angeles, LA, they started the temple, and then Prabhupada came back to New York again, and then he has this heart issue, and then in his head also so much trouble. Later he told his disciples, so much noise in my head going on. Um, Please pray. And then they all prayed to Narasimhadev. And so much effort Prabhupada put in this. Um, so, and then recently I heard that lecture Maharaj is saying in that lecture also. In one question, he's answering like effort and mercy. So the devotee asked, effort. Can we just, instead of putting effort, just wait for the mercy? So Maharaj said, no, we have to put effort and then wait for the mercy, something like that. And then it is connecting to Damodar Leela also. That thing, like Mother Yashoda, she is like trying to bind Krishna, and then she's putting so much effort. And then initially Mara said it is little not completely pure, and then she's trying and trying and trying. That effort is pleasing to Krishna, and then he allowed her bhakti purity. Mm, so that is the it's not a normal rope binding him. It's bhakti from her heart. So that is mercy he has given over the time. She's trying so much with the ropes. Whole village, the gopis, from the whole village, they brought the that ropes to tie his belly. So much effort, and then again mercy. So I don't know. Just I remember in the discussions that part.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Manisi Ganga Mataji, would you like to share anything?
Okay, I just unmuted myself. Yeah, I was just thinking back to Mataji's question about having children, and I'm just thinking about what Srila Prabhupada has said to us, that one should not become a teacher, a guru, or a parent if one is not capable of making the child or whoever is under their care Krishna conscious. So I think that that whole desire when you want a child, it could be just a material desire, just because a material, not just even the act of conceiving, that's material desire, but even the act of wanting a child can be material as well, in that, like, a child brings you lots of, you know, joy, or, you know, in later years, maybe shelter, you know, if you're, as you age, a child might be able to provide for you, etc. So I guess my only thought is that one needs to clarify what that, you know, why do I want this child? Am I doing this because I'm trying to serve Krishna? I'm um, trying to bring in another soul that will serve him and will go out and make other people Krishna conscious, etc. So that's what I had to say about that question. I don't know if I even was on target to what you were asking. It was just my thoughts with regards to the entire topic. And with Srila Prabhupada, all I know is, oh my gosh, it's, I'm just like you know, it's hard to even express, like, where would I be? Where would I be if I had not come across devotees, and the indebtedness that I have? You know, I don't know. It's just, and I'm one person. All the other people, oh my gosh, what he did was just simply amazing. And to what sacrifice too. He came, you know, with under the complete shelter of the Lord. He had but a few dollars in his pocket. His health was not good on the trip. All he brought were his books and his desire to serve. And you know, just, I think I'll just stop there, because I don't want to get too emotional here. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing um, the nice points, actually, about even the question that Mataji was asking. Yeah, it is very important to understand the intention behind each activity. Yeah. Okay, so anyone else? Final comments? Anything anybody would like to share before we end at 6 o'clock? Okay, so we will end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.